This is wildly different. 28 years later stars Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ray Fiennes, Jodie Comer, Rocco Haynes, I have to say Rocco Haynes, and is directed by Danny Boyle.
Some are better than others.
What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new 2025 review. I cannot believe I'm actually saying this. We are reviewing a brand new 28 movie, and this is 28 years later. Real quickly, let me take you back 10 years ago when I first started my channel. One of the first updates, aside from Halloween, that I did was 28 months later. And I started becoming like the authority on these updates for some reason because they were getting massive views. I did like, I think 3 or 4 months updates, you know, when they would arise. And sometimes it would be like, it was 4 years that I was able to put out an update. And I would have people in my comments saying, when is the next update? When are we getting an update? People were getting mad at me that I wasn't putting out update videos on this property. I'm not going to put out updates if there are no updates. So yeah. So I can't believe we're finally here. A movie is actually out for this property, this IP, with Danny Boyle freaking directing 28 years later. Insane. So anyway, 28 years later. Wow, I just came out of that movie, so that is definitely a factor. This is definitely the type of movie that you want to let soak, let marinate. And as far as plot-wise, and even, this is not going to be a spoiler review, but this is one of those movies that I was like, oh, they're going there. Oh, they're going there. You know, there's a lot of surprises in this movie plot-wise. It does not go the direction that you would think it would go given the previous 2 movies. I'll just say that. So, having said that, I'm going to be very careful about certain things that I divulge, and I'm not even going to tell you certain things, okay? Because I want you guys to go into this movie to be as surprised as I was. I want you to let this thing unfold for you, for your eyes, okay? And I don't want you to go in saying, oh yeah, Lee told me that. Oh, Lee told me that. Certain movies have, predictable plots, like slasher movies. Like, I'm sure I Know What You Did Last Summer, the requel that's coming out. It's pretty much probably going to have the same type plot, okay, as the trailer gives you. But this movie, they did a really good job of giving you a trailer that really tells you not much. Okay, so having said that, let me give you a quick plot synopsis. Our main character's Spike. The child is really our main character of this movie. Aaron Taylor Johnson plays Jamie, who is his father, and his mother is Isla, played by Jodie Comer. I'm just going to tell you what you see in the trailer is there are great bonding moments between Spike and his father. And at the beginning of the movie, Jamie is taking his son, Spike, out to really teach him, the ways of the land. They're on this island that's separated from the mainland, and on the mainland is the Ragers, okay? The Ragers have a unique thing about them, which I'm not gonna tell you in this movie. But yeah, this is a father-son bonding moment, and they're going out there, and of course, Spike's gonna be scared, because these are freaking Ragers coming at him. And his father's trying to teach him to be calm, cool, and collected. They work with a bow and arrow. And, he's teaching him how to conquer his fear to be able to take care of the community. And another reason they're going out there is to get supplies, get food, whatever. Ray Fiennes is a pivotal character in this too. He is this mysterious doctor. I will say that at a certain point in the movie, they want to reach him because they need his help. Okay, that's all I'm going to say, being very careful with my words. Also, something you need to know, I'll start with the direction of this movie before we get into the plot stuff. Danny Boyle directed this, beautifully directed on an iPhone 15 Pro, which is insane. It's a unique aspect ratio too. It's even smaller than a 235, so your black bars at the top and bottom are going to be even bigger, even wider. Or not wider, but taller. And you'll see that in the trailer. I think they did that with Sinners too. Sinners had like 4 different aspect ratios, and one of them was this or similar to this. But again, this was shot on an iPhone 15 but you wouldn't be able to tell. You would probably guess that this is just digital, which it technically is, but it's an iPhone 15 and it looks glorious on a big screen. And if you're familiar with Danny Boyle's direction and the way he blocks his shots, he's just a very creative director. The editing in this movie is very fast moving. And I would even say that this is probably the most artistic in terms of the camera work for this trilogy. All right, so now let's get into this. This movie is going to be divisive. If you are going into this movie expecting what we've had before in the previous two movies, and I just put out reviews for both of those movies, definitely check them out, and I was gushing over Weeks. I've always been a really big fan of Weeks. It's probably one of my favorite movies of the type. I think my expectations were really high for this movie just because of how much I love Days and Weeks, really. This is a good movie, but I don't think it's the best 28 series movie. You know, call it 28 years, days, weeks, whatever. You know what I mean? That's the conclusion I came to when I was coming out of the theater. This felt different. It didn't feel like it was cut from the same cloth. Sure, there are moments in this movie that definitely feel like it's part of this franchise, especially in terms of like music at a certain point. And of course, you're going to have like, you know, ragers that have, of course, certain characteristics of the previous two movies. But boy, there are some liberties taken with this story, and I think that's a good thing. I think Danny Boyle, and especially Alex Garland, they didn't want to do the same thing that the previous two movies did. They wanted to take this into a different direction, and I think if you read behind the scenes too, this was set up to be a trilogy, and when you get out of this movie, you will definitely know that. I want to see where this story goes from here. Okay, it definitely feels more like a TV series type setup, if I'm being honest. You know, like maybe 3 different movies. So it definitely feels like the first of a trilogy. I left wanting to know more, for sure. I think the first half of the movie goes into territory that we expect, but then from that point on, there's some big surprises and it goes in some different directions. This movie rests on Rocco Haynes' shoulders, who plays Spike. Spike is such a phenomenal character. And I would even say, just in terms of characters, Spike might be one of the best characters of this franchise. He is that great of a character. You love him to death. You are rooting for him. And more importantly, Rocco Haynes is a great young actor. And it's tough for a young child to carry a movie of this size on his shoulders. And he really does. I'm going to have to do a spoiler review for this. I'm sitting here thinking as I'm giving you this review, I don't want to tell them this. You know, there's a section of the movie that I wanted to talk about that involves a certain character, but I don't want to let that out of the bag, okay? You'll have to do the math yourself. But I will just say that Spike's relationship to a certain character in this movie is absolutely beautiful. And really, this is more of like a kind of a coming of age type movie. And I guess that's what I meant by, if you're expecting what we got before those previous two movies, you're not going to get that. This movie is different, beautifully directed. It holds your attention the entire way through. It's not boring at all, but it's just different. Sometimes different's good, sometimes different's bad. So there are people that are not going to be satisfied with this movie if they are expecting what has come before. And I was expecting that, but I still walked out of it saying that was a good movie, but it was just different. Last thing I'll talk about is actually the horror of the movie. If you want to rank this in terms of being a scary movie, this is the least, okay? I think that is one problem that I did have with this, is that the Ragers really made me feel not much at all. I didn't feel that chill up my spine. I didn't have like an oh shit moment like I did with the first two movies. If you watch those other two reviews, I go into detail about certain aspects of those movies that are downright terrifying, if I'm being honest. There's none of that in this, okay? This is more character-driven, character-based, which is great, which is fine. But if you're looking for just a really scary, terrifying movie on like a late Saturday night, this is not that. It's not that, okay? And for some of you, maybe it will be, but I doubt it. All right, especially if you compare this to the previous two movies. I think the previous two movies are really pushing the envelope in terms of horror. This is a horror movie, don't get me wrong, okay? But it has more, I guess, what the fuck than it has oh shit. So overall, I'm gonna give it a high humdrum. And that's a good rating. I think this is a good movie. I think this day and age, if you give a movie a 3.5 out of 5, some people are gonna take that as a bad thing. It's not. It's still a really good movie, but it's not the best movie of the year, and it's probably my least favorite of the franchise, okay? But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what comes next. And maybe what comes next will kind of raise my rating for this movie. Putting it all together, it might change my mind. So yeah, that's my review for 28 years later. Little disappointed, but still, I'm glad I left with an open mind. Like, okay, that was a unique experience that I didn't expect, but I'm glad I got it, if that makes sense, okay? Let me know what you guys think. I am so curious, and I think I'm gonna try to record a spoiler review this weekend because I got to for this movie. I just have to because there's a lot of stuff that I need to talk about, okay? Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks where we talk horror all day and every day and on Fridays. We do for Fridays. Follow me on Drumdums and on my socials. Support me on Patreon. Become a channel member. Buy me a coffee. And you guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a day and Drumdum out.